Hey, movie disciples and good people of YouTube. I usually start off and say I am movie messiah, but for this, using my government's name, my name is Brian, and I subtly drop hints here and there that I'm an actor. Yeah, I know you're like, haven't seen me in anything. No, you're not. Prove it. And that's the whole point of this. Like call this Slate Your Name. Now, slate is something that we have to do when we have an audition or a self-tape audition where we say our name and the other things that come along they might ask for when we do that. So for this, I decided to reach out to a friend and pick his brain and gather some knowledge because he inspires me as a performer and I aspire to get to his point in his career at some point soon. So initially I was like, let me hoard all this knowledge for myself, but that's not who I am. I wanted to share this information, so I figured why not share this with people who might want to be an actor or in the entertainment industry, just overall in general. So, I reached out to him and he hopped on and said, why not? He's a wonderful performer, but even better husband, father, and just overall stand-up guy. He's the star of the new hit show on Starz called Hightown. His name is Atkins Estimond. And we covered everything from his start of his journey to balancing work and family life to self-tape audition tips and things like that. And it was so big that it was 2 parts. That's right, I split it into 2 parts. Maybe one day I can condense it down to 1, but for now it's 2 parts. And I enjoyed every second of it. And I hope you guys enjoy this as well. And that's enough of me talking, man. This is Atkins Estimond on Slate Your Name. Check this out. Atkins!
How's it going?
Not bad, yourself?
Hey, no complaints, man. Just out here trying to make it.
I feel you. Did you get used to that? Or were you tired of that? Or was that something just from the football team when people were like, yo, Atkins? Like, was that a black people only thing that we did back in high school?
Nah. I mean, there's a lot of other things people could be calling you. So
That's very true.
As long as it's my name, I can't be mad at that.
Absolutely.
Oh, so it got kind of noisy down there. Want to mess up Brian's feed with all kinds of background noise in my house.
I would have been tripping. I was trying to make sure I had my stuff together. I was letting me close these windows outside. And it was like my walls are super thin in this apartment. You can hear people across the street having a good old conversation like, hey, what's going on, girl? I'm like, man, gotta step it
not
up.
to mention there seems to be a thunderstorm something coming down over here.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Man.
Also, excuse my parents. I'm having like a bad reaction to something. So.
No, okay. No, you good. I'm like, trust me, my face literally was like peeling. Like it started happening like last summer and started peeling again, like around my eyes, like on my ears.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm having like a food allergy issue, but haven't quite pinpointed what it is. But.
Right.
But I'm good. I'm not like dying.
Yeah. Thank goodness. No, don't need that. Yeah. Don't need that. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a proper introduction. Mm-hmm. So the viewers make sure they know who you are when they tune into this. So get right into it, man. I appreciate you for coming on. If you guys don't know, you've probably seen him on quite a few things. You just haven't put 1 or 2 together, but. He's a friend who I went to high school with. I won't say what year we graduated because we're black and nobody can tell what age we are just yet. So we're going to keep that anonymous. But you've seen him on Lodge 49 as Gerson, popped up on there. You might have seen him on the underrated movie that I enjoyed so much, Get On Up, as Big Junior. That's when I first saw him on the screen. I was like, my man has taken it to the next level. That's what I'm talking about. Other things, I seen him in Superfly. You might have seen him in that. You might have seen him on The Resident. My girl loved that show, Dr. Casey Mitchell. And he's the star of the new hit show on Starz called Hightown. He goes by a gangster named Osito. He's playing no games. Let's give it up for Mr. Atkins Estimond. I appreciate you for chopping it up with me today, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm definitely glad to be able to sit down and, talk shop. And, when you reached out, I was like, of course, man, I'd love to get together and, chop it up.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate it. Initially, like I was like, let me just hoard some of these gems for myself. But I was like, let me reach out and actually maybe like spread some light for anybody else who might be in the position that I'm in, who's trying to get to the next level. So I guess I'm gonna take it back to from where it started, from like my point of view. When I don't say I noticed, but I thought it was so dope and had so much admiration for you when we played football together. And like people don't know, you played football at some point. I was on the team. And I always thought it was so dope. You was like, after like freshman year, he was like, nah, man, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. You was like, I'm strictly theater. And I admired that. And like, I hopped in like to a theater class, like a intro drama class, like our junior year. But I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I want to explore it, but I didn't have the confidence. What made you, did you realize then that it's something that you want to do, or something you just want to experiment with?
I mean, at the time, I wasn't thinking that this was going to be a career path, but I had always wanted to act. I wanted to be in the theater. My brother was in the theater.
Right.
From the time I was a little kid, I had wanted to perform. And so after football, I was just like, it was the kind of thing where I was like, I'm sure you can attest this, like literally every one of my friends was doing it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll do it too. And it was just like initially just kind of like a fun way to hang out with my friends. And, there was camaraderie and that sort of thing. But I was like, I don't really like this, So after that first year, which was rough, we did not win a single game. No. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not cut out for this.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I knew what it was. I just not, it just wasn't for me,
Yeah.
But so when I was always planning on going into theater. I think it has something to do with maybe my credits or something coming in like that I couldn't start initially, but that was always the plan for me eventually, is to go to theater. Football just happened to be something that just got cast off. I was just like, no, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But back then I wasn't like doing it thinking like this is going to be the beginning of me becoming a professional actor.
Okay. So, it's something that you, like you say, you saw your brother Rick, who's an actor as well. So you saw him, it was kind of like something that sparked it as well. He was like, okay, big brother's doing, let me get down with it as well.
Yeah, he was, I want to say freshman year, he would have been like a junior, if I'm not mistaken. And I had been watching him before that when I think he was like a sophomore. When we were in like middle school, I would go see his plays and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, definitely when I get to high school, I want to do this. So when the opportunity for me to get into one of the theater classes was available, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, this is something that I've been planning on doing.
Right. That's dope. Did you lean on him for support when I guess you decided to like, all right, I'm pursuing this full time? I kind of jumping ahead of myself, but since you kind of brought us.
No, yeah, that's fine. It's, yeah, I definitely, it's an interesting story. Like when I decided I was going to start acting professionally, me and him had this moment where we were both kind of in like, I guess you could say kind of like a crossroads in our life.
Right.
And we're at my parents' house and we're kind of just sitting up and just being like, what are we going to do? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a crack at this acting. And he hadn't really known or decided what he was going to do, but he was like, all right, I'm going to support you. And initially he went to school for public relations, and he was like, I'll be your publicist,
Okay.
And but he actually ended up becoming an agent. And and we both were kind of on these paths, both in the entertainment industries, but different sides of it. And but he's always been a support all the way through. He's seen me from the jump. My wife is also a really big support for me.
Nice.
But obviously my brother was around before my wife was. So but the both of them have been very big supports. But my brother has seen it from like the very beginning when I first sat down and was like, I'm going to do this. And he's seen all the lumps I've taken on the road, and the ups, the downs, the times when I was like wanting to quit and all this kind of stuff. And when I didn't believe in myself, that sort of thing, he would always still cheer me on. So he's been I've been very fortunate that I've had, a really good support system in my wife and in
Nice.
my brother.
You said you guys sit down. So when you were like telling your parents, were they like initially like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? 'Cause I know for myself, like after I got done with school, I was like, yeah, so I know I went to school for, media production, but I minored in drama for a reason. So I'm like, this is what I want to go after. Was there any like pushback? Like, how did they take it?
And initially before I even told them about the acting, I told my parents, like, before we graduated, I was like, I don't know if you remember, I was in a band, and I
Yeah.
told my parents, I was like, I want to be in a band, and that's what I'm going to do. And
They
they
were
were
like,
very upset about that. My parents are Haitian, and
yeah,
any parent, wants to see the best for their kid. But I
right.
think foreign people, and especially Haitian people,
Yeah,
are like, no, you can be an engineer, you can be a doctor, something
right.
important, something I can
Right.
brag about.
Right.
But I don't want to hear about no entertainment, no actor,
Yeah, if there's no real
no.
money in that, you can't do.
Yeah, yeah, I cannot. And that's the thing for them. They don't see, if they can't see how it works, then they don't see it a lot of
Right.
times. So I wasn't super upset at them because I knew I wasn't fighting them. I was fighting this mentality and idea.
Mm,
So,
okay.
um, uh, and then after I decided I wasn't going to be a musician, I felt like when I told them I wanted to be an actor, the blow had already been softened by
Mm.
the
That
musician thing.
right.
Yeah,
Ease it
so
up
they
a
were
bit.
very much like, okay,
Yeah.
And I think initially they were kind of just like, not that they weren't supportive, but I think they were concerned
Mm,
just about how I was going to make it, how I was going to be able to survive and support
exactly.
myself and support my family
Right.
eventually. So, but yeah, initially for the acting, the pushback wasn't bad. It was more just kind of concerned and being like, all right, where is this going to go?
Mm,
But once they saw me, and also I put a lot of effort into it. I didn't just say, hey, I'm going to be an actor and just sat back. Like I was actively doing
going after it.
things like,
Yeah.
taking classes, going to workshops, doing all kinds of stuff, showcases and stuff. So I
Mm,
was very proactive. And I think that also, kind of ease some of their tensions about me being
right.
an actor. Yeah.
They saw that you was going after it and you
Mhm.
was diligent about everything.
Absolutely.
Did you say did you go to school for it? Did you like go to college and hop into class there? And then would that help like soften the blow or like make sure they was like, okay, I see what you're doing.
I not initially, like when I graduated from school, I didn't go straight to college. Like I was working for a while, and my path to college was a little different.
Mm,
After a while, I was like, I think I want to go back to school
mm,
to try to get my theater degree because I was like, I feel like the best actors are classically trained.
mm,
So when you look at like your Denzels, your Viola Davises, your Meryl Streeps,
right.
the people who have like monumental careers in this industry, and also the big push for English actors,
Mm,
John Boyega and all these people who are
everybody
coming
coming
over.
over, yeah,
Yeah,
killing
and
it.
it's like you don't know their English until they're doing an interview.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have, started in the theater and they have
Mm,
really good, theater training. So I was like, well, I want to have a career like that. So I should train like they do.
right.
So initially that was my idea. And that was like, I went back to school when I was like, I think I was like 25, 26 or something like that.
Wow.
I was a
Wow.
25-year-old freshman. But that's when I decided to go back to get my degree. And it was weird. It just so happened that I went back, I learned a lot, but I didn't I was in a place in my career where I started gaining momentum.
Hmm.
And in the industry, it's really hard once when
Started
you've
up.
got momentum, you gotta keep going,
Right. Right.
It's like I was my thought process was I was like, I can always go back to school,
Hmm.
but I cannot like getting this momentum going back again is difficult. The
Right.
school is just signing some forms and I'm going back in. Building that momentum again is a whole other thing. People
Mm,
start to forget about you, casting directors change. Like at this point in time, I had never been in front of most of the people in town. They know me, they know what I do,
right.
what I bring to the table. And And that's in a good place to be, because then when anything comes up that's right up my alley, it's like, this is laser focused, something that I can do,
Yeah.
you know? So, and then I was in a weird cycle where I was like getting acting jobs and then using those acting jobs to pay for school. But then I started having to miss my acting jobs because I was in school. And I was like, but I'm in school trying to get better so I can get more acting jobs.
Right.
So I was like, I
You're
was
trying
like,
to find the win. It's like, I'm
yeah,
winning
yeah.
both
And it's
ways.
weird. I tell people I actually had to give up. Like, I booked 2 jobs while I was at school, and I was in plays at school, and I had to pass on those jobs. I tell people that, and a lot of actors who I tell are like, "You're crazy."
Right. It makes no sense. It's like, wait, you got a gig that you're gonna be on TV, a movie, or whatever. You're getting paid, but you're going to class for a play. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was, and trust me, there was much inner turmoil as well as I was making that decision. But I'm the kind of guy who's like, if I tell you I'm going to be there, I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know.
Right.
I definitely believe in karma and doing right by people. And I made a commitment. And not to mention, at that time, I wasn't thinking I was going to leave school. I was like, this is my school. Am I going to just shit on these people? Sorry, I don't know if you curse on.
Please. Atkins, like, I am the worst. I have the worst foul language. My mom knows I have a terrible mouth. So go ahead. Let's be real with these people.
Some people are like, wait a minute, there's gonna be some youngins watching them.
I should have prefaced it, but I just wanted to dive in and be natural. I didn't want to be like, hey, but I'm sitting down in an interview. Like, I ain't done no interviews since I was on the school newspaper back in the day. So.
Yeah. But
sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. So yeah, I hadn't I don't want to just shit on them and be like, yeah, okay, sorry, I got something better going on. Right. And then when I come back and I'm trying to do a play, they're gonna be like, no, like, we can't trust you. So and these jobs weren't jobs. I mean, any job is, as an actor, you're building your resume, so you want it, but these weren't like gonna change my life. These weren't like springboard opportunities, you know. So I let them go. And, but that was a moment when I realized I was like, I can't do both. Like, either I have to fully commit to school and just be like, I'm going to stop acting and do school, or I'm going to have to leave school and just keep on going. And I was like, at the time, I couldn't afford to just be like, I'm not going to act, because that's where the money was coming from. I didn't have, as far as jobs go, I didn't have anything else that was bringing the money in, like my acting was at that time. So I ended up leaving school and just being like, all right, I'm going to keep going.
Okay. So you went to school for a little bit. Did you feel like the going to school helped you out like a little bit? Did it show you just another level, like what you can do, like to, I guess, break through like for like auditions and character wise and just character building and things like that?
Yeah, there's just a different level of focus on the work, like the things that you do individually when you're training for theater. There's classes for movement, just dedicated to movement, and there's classes for voice. There's you might take dance. There's all sorts of different things that you have in your toolkit as an actor that may not be you probably won't get at a just normal studio class or something like that. So I definitely was like, the time was valuable and I did learn a lot. And I was like, I wish that I had gone to school straight out of school and done that, like had that time and did it when I should have done it instead of trying to go back while I was already in the heat of things. So, and also I had to tell myself, everybody has a different path, not everybody is the theater trained actor, like Tom Cruise never went to a theater school. And he's, one of the biggest actors in the world. So that doesn't mean that, if you didn't do theater, doesn't mean that you can't be big, have a big career and be successful. But in my mind, I was just like, the people with the careers that I'd like to model.
They went to school for it.
Yeah. So, but I don't kick myself about it. I'm just like, and I never know, like maybe I will find myself back in there, but I don't want to close that chapter and be like, I'm not going to go.
I'm never going back.
I can't say that. So, but at the moment things have picked up to where I definitely don't have the time right now
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like with the family and the career. I'm like you're on top of the like. In my opinion, obviously, like I'm from the this perspective. I'm like you're on top of the world. You're doing the damn thing. Like how long have you and your wife been together? If you don't mind me asking.
No, no. Me and her, we got together actually right around the time I started acting. So it's getting about to be about 10 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that balance been trying to uh like make sure that you put the time and energy into her and the family now since it's grown with your lovely daughter and just doing the career because like literally like last year I was like, all right, this is the year like slight story and like I went broke last year, right? You know,
Mhm.
trying to do this, especially just being out here in LA.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I'm going after it, but I lost pretty much all my money. Also trying to just live life because I've been out here. People's like, you haven't done this, you haven't been over here. I'm like, trying to
Mhm.
do a little bit of everything, but I'm terrible at networking. So I was like, let me just refocus everything. So last year I was like, let me get my money back up and then start
Yeah.
going more classes. So I was like, let me hop into this acting class and the groundlings class. And then I met my girlfriend.
Mhm.
So I'm like, man, this has gotten a whole. I'm like, this is putting something else on the plate, and I wasn't ready to balance yet. How did you find it difficult to balance that, or were you like, oh, okay, you told him like this is the plan, this is what I want to do, and I would love for you to join me on this journey and me be part of your journey as well.
Yeah. I was really fortunate in the fact that my girlfriend, at the time girlfriend, now wife, was super supportive of what I
Mm-hmm.
was doing. Um, and I think like also like with my parents, she saw that I was like working. You
Mm-hmm.
know, a lot of people have big dreams, but they don't put a lot of effort into it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I was very much like about it. It was not easy. That's the one thing I'm like, there was a lot of sacrifices that we had to make in our relationship. And then eventually, you know, now well, it's much better now.
Right.
But, earlier on in our relationship, it was like my wife will tell you that anytime um, I want to book, we just have to plan to go on vacation, and then as
Okay.
soon as we say we're going to go out of town, that's when I book a job and we can't go.
Oh man. Yeah.
So, or at least I can't go, and so it was really hard, and also financially it was hard. I mean, you know, the jobs that I was doing on the side initially when I started acting, it was kind of like a blessing situation. I was working at MARTA, and I got laid off, and I had a severance package, and I used that for a long time to live off of, and I
Mm.
just worked. Or I just used that to live, and also I was like paying for classes with it, like whatever I could do. I was
Going
like, all
place.
right, bam, that's what I'm gonna do. And but when that kind of came out, or that one night ran out, I
Mm.
was just like, I was at home at my parents' house. Thankfully, my parents were like, yo, like you can stay here as long as you need to get going. So I didn't have to worry about like, all right, where am I gonna stay,
Right.
food, and that sort of thing. So it was basically just like, all right, let me just do the acting.
Mm.
And but financially that was hard because it was like I always didn't have it. Like, you know, sometimes with acting, you know, a residual check might pop in and they're like, all right, I'm good for a little while.
Right.
But then, and then I don't have anything, you
Mm.
know? So I felt like for a large part of our relationship early on, she was like kind of shouldering a lot of burden
Mm-hmm.
because of my choice of my career, which is something that I do feel guilty about. I felt guilty about then. But she always supported me and was like, yeah, you know, like, and not to say that it wasn't difficult and she was like all just
Yeah.
sunshine
No.
and rainbows
You
about it. There
got
was
it.
days
I'm
like,
here.
yeah, like what's going on, you know? So,
Yeah.
but no, she always had my back and was always like, you know, you got this, you know, there's times when I was like, hey, there's this audition out in LA. I don't have all the money to do it. And she'd be like, I got you, you know? So,
Wow. That's
she was
that's
like
a
that
blessing.
kind of support for me,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know, okay. So and then as things started progressing and my career started to pick up and things started to become more frequent, then it was like the financial burden started to alleviate.
Nice.
But I mean, the scheduling stuff is not hasn't hasn't gotten much better. um One good thing is that or the okay, well, when my daughter was born, for instance, I found out about Hightown while my wife was pregnant. I found out that I booked it.
Hmm.
I was actually getting ready for the second season of Lodge 49.
Right.
And I had done the audition for Hightown like maybe a couple of months before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there and I did it, set it, forget it. Like I was like, all right, whatever, just another audition. I never heard anything back, so I figured I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And but then my manager or agent, somebody was like, oh yeah, you're still in the mix for that Hightown thing. And I was like, what? And like, yeah.
What? Okay.
But in the mix means a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not any of them always meaning you got
You
the
got
job,
it. Right.
right? And the mix it can say a lot of different things, but it doesn't always mean, rarely does it mean actually that you have a job. So I didn't pay much attention to it even then. And then it comes time for Lodge 49 to get going. And so I'm getting ready. They're sending contracts over for Lodge 49. And then, all of a sudden my New York agent is like, hey, don't sign those contracts. You're in the mix. You're really in the mix for this Hightown thing. And I was like,
okay.
Oh, it must really be something then, because if they didn't want me to sign the contracts, then that must mean this is really serious. And then it was like a little bit of back and forth. And then they were like, okay, we're going to do the test and yada, yada, yada. And then I ended up getting it. I went out, I tested. So all this was just crazy to me. Like I'd never gone through the process.
Yeah.
I'd never booked a series regular role before, so I wasn't sure how the process went.
Right.
But I had to learn a lot of things really quickly. This is something that we can double back on later if you'd like.
Cool.
But anyway, long story short, I booked the job,
mm-hmm.
and then my wife is already pregnant, and then come to find out the show is supposed to start basically right around the time that my daughter is supposed to be born.
Mm.
So she's looking like, oh God. And I'm looking like, ugh.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, this is too good of an opportunity. I can't say no, I'm not going to be a series regular, right?
Yeah, I'm like, this is what you've been aiming for. Like, this is
it.
This is the next step.
All these years have been like grinding and trying to get to this spot, and now it's not just here; it's mine. Like they've given it. Am I gonna be like, no, I can't do it? So she didn't even humor that. She was like, yes, you're gonna do it. We just have to figure out what we're gonna do.
Right.
So, but the day, so we ended up having to induce my wife. My wife has the baby, and literally 3 days later, I have to fly up to New York to start work. And so that's what the kind of situation has been. It's still hard as far as scheduling, but I'm in a place where, and also I will say for production, for Starz, they were willing to work with me. Like they had me in touch with one of the producers, and they were like, all right, we understand you have to have the baby. We really need you here for these days. If we push back to these days, could you make it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, they're inducing her on this day. So yes, I'll be able to be there for these days. And she's like, cool. She's like, I just really got to have you here for this. And I was like, all right. So I'm in a place now where I have a little bit more wiggle room or leeway, I guess I say control over some things, but there's certain things that can't be helped. But now, and it's like when I was in New York working, that was also tough because my wife now has a newborn baby and I'm in New York.
Yeah.
So I tried to go back and forth as much as I could, but that was tough on her and on me too. Like I was feeling like, am I going to get home and the baby's not going to even know who I am,
Yeah.
So, and now we have another baby on the way.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Wow. That's a blessing, man.
Yeah, another little girl. And season 2 of Hightown just got renewed.
I saw that. Like I said, I'm like, I saw that. Let me talk to this man right now before he just like blows out the stratosphere. Let me get in contact with this man. Because I was like, like I said, I just felt it like anytime I saw you on screen, like when I first saw you, like I was watching Devious Maids. I was like, oh man, it's Atkins. Atkins.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Like I've been watching from the get. I'm like, I've been cheering from the sidelines. Like, yes, like I was like, how do I get there? Like, what am I doing? Because like you said, you were blessed, like stay at the crib. And when I first got out of school, I was like, yeah, what am I going to do? And literally like something like popped on the radio and was like, the talent agency is looking for people to to rep because they're getting ready to do some things like that. And it was like called 21st Century, something like that. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I hear you talking to me. All right, cool. And and my mom was in the car. She was like, you got to figure out something soon. I was like, I just got out of school like 5 months ago. I'm like, man, like, all right, I hear you. And that happened, and I went to it and brought my
I
friend.
did 21st Century too.
You did? Okay. It seemed like initially I was a little nervous. I was like, is this thing legit? And I brought my friend with me because she had been in the industry, and she was like, if it was legit, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went up there. I remember doing it, and that's when I ran to your brother. That's the first time I seen your brother like since school, and I didn't know how everything went. I remember I was going up there after I did my monologue, which was kind of. I probably go back and I probably do a whole lot better than I did then, obviously, because I was super green.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what is happening? And I stand in line trying to talk to everybody. And I went and talked to your brother. I was like, man, I'm like, this is dope. I hadn't seen you in like forever. And obviously you probably couldn't remember me at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I remember your brother was in the same grade and everything like that. And I went through the process. He was like, hey man, he was like, keep going at it. He was like, you're still green. I was like, okay, cool. And I booked like a couple meetings with a couple agencies and went and like talked to them. But I didn't know like how the game went. So after I had the meetings, I was like, so I'm, I'm gonna get a call back. Gonna call them back. So I was just like super green to everything. I was like, I didn't want to do the whole callback situation. So I kind of like fell back initially. I was like, you know what? Let me kind of like figure out, what classes should I take. I need to start working out. I remember I was in line with somebody, and this dude, this big Hispanic dude, the lady, he was like this. He turned around like all buff and stuff. I was like, man, I should have worked out, man. Fucked up. I was like, oh man, I was like, this slacking in college didn't work out for me. I should have kept being an athlete or something. This is not good. And that was all like mental stuff in my head. So trying to like figure out what was my next step. So I took a step back. I was like, maybe I start creating my own stuff. Like, were you doing that initially? Were you creating your own stuff? Would you get people like telling you in your ears, like, this is what you need to do? Like, go to Tyler Perry studio. You get a job up there. It's easy. I'm like, I got all that stuff being at home. Like, y'all just
I mean,
I don't know how this works.
Yeah. People have all kinds of ideas about what's the right path and what you're supposed to do. Side hustles and, trying to get yourself going and that sort of thing. It's tough because, I mean, I will definitely say creating your own lane and doing your own content is good if you're good at that. Like,
if you're good at it,
if you can put something together good, then do it. But I know for myself, I've never really taken a crack at writing. I don't really consider myself a writer. So that's not something that I was like pushing a lot into. Like, it's not a bad thing to do. And I definitely say you should, if you link up with some people. One thing I will say though, is if somebody was doing a project like an indie thing and they asked me to do it, I would, try to jump in on those types of opportunities. But as far as creating something on my own, I had a couple opportunities or a couple like attempts at it, but it just, just through lack of focus or whatever, I just never made anything of it. But as far as like trying to go and do an internship, I did like in the beginning, I did a couple of extra jobs. Like I was like an extra on a couple different projects. And I even now tell people like, do it 2 or maybe 3 times. That's it. Like, I feel like if you're trying to be in front of the camera, you don't need to be like, there's some people who are like they're just like the background actors. That's all they do. And they're thinking that's I mean, it is a check and you are on screen and sometimes you do find opportunities. And you might even get upgraded and get some lines in, but it's just like, that's not always the case, And the thing is like, you're actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot down the road because it's like, after a while, they just start to look at you as background. And then you've been on the show in the background so much, then there's like, how the hell they are supposed to explain now you're like a main character? It's like, well, they were just random person in the background,
up to the front, like, hey.
And it doesn't make sense. So that's why I was like, all right, I did it a couple times. I learned like it's a good like learning experience to see what it's like on set, like the process. And I mean, although being background is a completely different thing from having like being an actual role cast in the show. You know? Like, treatment is very different.
Way different. Like I've done nothing that you've done yet. So like I've been in the background myself a couple times, and then just doing something like on an indie short film. I was like, hey, you want some food? I was like, wait, what's going on? So I'm like, I can only imagine, what was like for you, like get a trailer, like being one of the leads on the TV show.
Yeah, it took some. I mean, I've literally seen like what it's like to be a background
Mm,
actor, where they treat you like shit,
yep.
and they need you, but they don't really need you. They can
Yeah.
easily replace you. So, they talk to you wild and crazy in your kind of way. And sometimes, I mean, rightfully so in a way, because some people get on set and just like do not know how to act and like do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was like, sometimes I feel like the way that they talk to background actors is like, that's unnecessary. But
You
also,
know,
when you're dealing with a big crowd of people, it's hard to kind of
Rain.
control and
Yeah.
corral everyone. Um, but yeah, so I've seen it from like, the worst you could be treated to I don't know what Will Smith is getting,
Yeah.
but I know what a series regular can get, which is pretty good, compared to it's heaven compared to
Yeah.
being a
Where you
background
start
actor.
from, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember the first time they were like, you got like I got like a trailer, and I was like, oh my God, there's a TV in here. I have my own bathroom in here, just being really brand new about it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So as far as like trying to do those types of things, like trying to find a little that was basically for me my early on little things. I did other jobs. I mean, not jobs not related to acting. Like I did Uber and Lyft for a while. That was a good
Mm,
one to do because you really kind of set your own schedule.
yeah.
So that's what I need. I needed something where I was like, because with
You need
acting,
flexible.
yes, they could be like, hey, there's an audition tomorrow, or if you book the job today, the job starts tomorrow,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe in the next couple of days. So it's like there's not too many jobs where it's like, hey, I need to be gone for
From
like the next couple of days.
yeah.
So but so I did that for a while. I did, little jobs here and there trying to make it work. But
So were you doing like more like temp jobs or just finding anything
no, it
flexible
was
that you could?
mostly like that. Like I mean, I did early on after my unemployment finished, I was like I worked at like GameStop for a little while.
Mm,
But like also it was just like the money from little jobs here and there would keep me afloat for a while. So I was kind of just
nice.
like trying to string it all together.
Yeah.
Um and like I said, also it's like sometimes it was just like, all right, I'm at my parents' house and I have no money. you know?
Yeah.
So but yeah. But then things started to pick up and the acting jobs really
Mhm.
were like, I got enough of them going to where I was like, all right, I'm actually pretty good for a while here. So
Okay. Okay.
and now I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you're good.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
did you well, I'm going blank. Did you have like any thoughts about going to any other market, uh, like, or did
Mhm.
you get like any pushback from your family, or well, I'm saying family or outside sources, like you should be doing this, like we talked about with the making your own lane.
Mhm.
Um, did you think like, what, maybe I should go to the West Coast, or were you like, me and my lady, we're here, like this is my
Mhm.
family is, I'm gonna stick it out down here because I know you said you got reps in New York
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, I I was prepared to go to like LA if that's what happened, but I
Mhm,
was hoping that I wouldn't have to, and
mhm,
fortunately I haven't had to. Um Essentially it was like I was in a place where I was like I said, my um I was at the house and I'm
yeah.
like, all right, if I leave the house, then I gotta
You
switch
got paid.
things up and be like, all right, well, I gotta deal with the rent and blah 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 blah.
Mhm,
So I was like, if I go out to LA, I gotta have at least some money saved up before I do that. Like I feel like for any actor, if you're gonna make the move to LA, you need to have like some money squirreled away to kind of ride for a while
yeah.
you're trying to figure things out. So um a couple times early on, I had some opportunities where I was like, maybe I should
Mhm,
go out to LA, or maybe I'll try to be bi-coastal, that kind of thing. Um, and I had mentors who I was like running this by, like, what do you think about this? What do you think
mhm,
about the move to LA? What do you think about? And I've developed this idea that I was like, if I can't do it here, then this is like the lake, right? If I
mhm,
can't make it work in the lake, then I'm not ready to go to the ocean. So, and
okay.
then also it's like it's so tough out in LA, and I'm sure you can attest to this. Like it's super saturated. It's a
Yes.
very everybody there is an actor, and
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, just to get good reps out there is a fight, you know, whereas here in Atlanta, you can get with a really good agency. It's getting harder, but at the time when I got on with people, I was with People Store. I'm still with People Store.
Nice.
At the time when I got on with them, it was pretty, not easy, but if you were good and they were willing to, even if you were green, if you were green and they was like willing to work with you to let you grow, they were more, back then they were willing to cultivate people a little bit more than they are now. Now they have their pick of actors and they don't have to cultivate talent.
Yeah.
Like they got actors coming from LA trying to come to Atlanta with tons of credits, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have to pick for actors who have maybe one or two when there's people who have plenty of credits who are really good, and I can just hand pick the best ones, you know? So, but it's still, I think it's still a better opportunity here for actors because there's just way more opportunities here. Whereas like in LA, every actor's fighting for one job. Here, there's plenty of jobs. Like I've never felt like I was in competition with the actors here. It's not quite as cutthroat as it is out in LA.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
that was my whole idea about it. Like I was like, if I can do it here, then once I've made my mark here and I've really built something here, then I'll take it. I'll see if I have to take it to LA or New York.
Right.
And luckily I found myself in a position where I built a good resume for myself. And I think that's really important, is building a good resume and, you know, getting your reel together and that sort of thing. And then I actually started getting opportunities out in LA. Like when I did How to Get Away with Murder, that was shot out in LA and I flew out for that. And so by the time Hightown came around, I was still here, but I had reps who were repping me out in New York. And they were the ones, but actually I got an audition for Hightown from my Atlanta agents as well. That's the thing, that Atlanta is growing and bigger opportunities are coming here. It's still not like LA or New York as far as like the big opportunities. I think if you're going to be like a big role in a show, they're still casting those primarily out of LA first. Yeah. And then they open it up if they don't find what they're looking for, then they'll open it up to Atlanta and, you know, the other markets, or LA and New York first, and then they'll open it up in Atlanta. You know? So I was able to, you know, book that job from here. I did a self-tape and sent it off, and I didn't leave. They flew me out to go to test, and that was it. And so I've been fortunate that I haven't had to leave.
Nice.
So, I mean, I have to leave to shoot or whatever, but I'm still based in Atlanta.
No, yeah, like you saying that was literally like my thinking. Like once I get out, like I literally told Anton, like my last year in college, I was like, plan is I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna get back to Atlanta. I'm like, I'm making it in Atlanta. So once I build up enough, I'm gonna go to the West Coast, and then hopefully, like, you know, they see what I built and I can make it in the bigger pond. And then, like I said, I went there. I just didn't know how to go about it. I was like, I'm not looking for the right classes. So I took a step back, and then like opportunity presented itself for me, like to move to California. And I thought it would be close to LA, but like first year I was nowhere near LA. I was out in Riverside, like an hour and a half away. And then like you said, coming out here, you have to have money. Like people don't know, you have to have money. I came out here with $700 to my name. I was broke as shit.
Need more.
I was like, this is not happening. I need way more. So trying to like build that money up, and then I was like, well, I guess I'll be here for a year, build the money up, and then close to LA. And then I got blessed, and I was living with some family for the past couple of years. And right before I met my girlfriend, I was like, do I need to like maybe go back to Atlanta? Because I had my acting coach was like, you're from Atlanta, go back to get some reps, and you know, come back out here, or at least, you know, try to be bi-coastal. And that's kind of been going through my head. Now I met my girlfriend, so it's kind of like, all right, we're not moving, can't leave. So I'm just trying to figure out, I'm like, especially with this whole pandemic coming down now, it's kind of throwing things off. I was like, man, I want to go out there and like, hey, I got some stuff now. Like, see if I can get some reps out here, and maybe build a little stuff out here, but still obviously live out here and do the same thing. So that's been going through my head. I'm like, all right, it's time for me to level up. I'm like, I've done a few things here and there, but LA is no joke out here. And then trying to get reps, that's been like the hardest thing. I'm terrible at networking.
Networking, it's still hard because I mean, don't even think about one of the big ones like,
Yeah.
William Morris Endeavor or, one of ICM or
Yeah.
don't even think about those unless you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
You're right. That knows somebody.
Yeah, you got to be really going hard to go just to start there. I mean, because those are the ones everybody wants to be with. Those are the ones that the biggest actors in the world are rep by them.
Yeah.
So, and I know that they have good smaller agencies, like, well, I guess smaller than ICM, Abrams.
Yep.
But even Abrams is a tough
super
one
tough.
to get
Yeah,
on,
absolutely.
And I'm not sure about the more boutique agencies out there, but even with the more boutique ones, the ones that are really good are even tough to get with, or they'll take you, but they only want to take you on the commercial side. They don't want you for theatrical. And it's like, okay, but that's the thing. It's like, I always tell people, like, that's not the same. You don't have that same fight in Atlanta. And also, a lot of people don't think about the fact that, the union is different out there, whereas in Atlanta's or Georgia's a right to work state. So you can become eligible easier here than it is there,
Okay.
Like, actually, I got my eligibility fairly quickly in Atlanta because, all these union projects are working here and you don't necessarily have to be in the union to work on them. Okay. So that's one thing that I was also like, well, I at least got to get that done before I go out there, because for them, like, you have to be SAG to work on their projects.
Yeah.
So, that's a big one. That's what I always tell people who are like, a lot of people, the whole like LA versus Atlanta question comes up all the time for people who are asking me. And I'm always like, at least you have to stay here, at least to get eligible, because it's much easier here. But yeah, and like I said, like you've talked about it clearly, is that the finances it's tough out there. The price of living is tough out there. Getting rep is hard out there. So I always tell people that Atlanta, even though Atlanta is getting a little bit more tougher, it's getting a little bit more competitive, it's still so much better for actors who are in the beginning phases or trying to build up their resume, because it's just easier to make moves out here. You could find yourself with a better agency out here. And even if you're not with a great agency, like, that's the thing. I'm with People Store. People Store's the biggest agency in the Southeast, right? But when I go into the room to audition and I ask the actors or talk to the actors, and I'm like, who are you with? All of them are with all kinds of other little agencies. Like, they'll be like, well, I'm with so-and-so. Some of them I never even heard of. I'm like, all right, if they're getting their people into this room,
they're doing something right.
Then this is the same audition I'm at.
Yeah.
So you, even with an agency that's not the big agency in town in Atlanta, you still are getting in the room for pretty good projects, or really good projects. So that's why I always tell people, like, and that's the thing, you could come down here and be with a boutique agency in Atlanta or a smaller agency in Atlanta. All the Atlanta agencies compared to the big ones out there are considered boutique.
Yeah.
But if you were with a smaller agency here, you can build up. And then after you've got a big resume or a nice resume, then you can go to one of the bigger agencies in town here. And then once you've been with them for a while, then you can go. Now that, some people feel kind of like me about that, being like, oh, I'm just using these agencies to get the big agency I'm trying to get to. But that's what a lot of people do. Yep. Or you could be like, you know what? I like my agent. I like my boutique agency. They get me out a ton and I book a ton, and I'm going to rock with them. Like, I've only been with People Store since I've had an agent. Now I've added other agencies, and that's actually with the assistance of People Store. People Store has a relationship with Buckwald, who is my agent in New York. So they actually set up the Meet With Me, and who ended up being my agent in New York. They were the ones who set that up.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, it's the kind of thing where it's like you find the right fit. Like, I think I remember you talking about, like, somebody finding an agency that shares your vision and understands what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's super important. So if you have that and you're at like a small boutique agency and you feel like all your needs are being met, then run with that. But it does get tough. I mean, at some point in time, I feel like you do get to a point where you need to add something else to the agent or to your team. Be it, all right, maybe I need to get a manager now, or maybe I need to get rep in New York or LA. So because there is a bit of a different caliber of audition. I feel like that's coming from my New York agent at times versus Atlanta. Because like I said, a lot of times those big roles hit New York first. It might be the same project they're casting in, like the same project they're getting roles for the same project, but I feel like sometimes a New York agent will have the bigger roles before they come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or maybe that project wasn't even casting because maybe it's just a project that only shoots in New York.
Okay. Right.
So, and not to say that you couldn't get it out of Atlanta, but there's been some stuff where I was like, I did not see this on the Atlanta side. And it's definitely coming through New York. But both agents are in communication with each other.
Right.
So
that definitely helps.
Yes. If your agents are, on good terms and communicating well, that is the ideal situation.
How long did it take you that you felt that you were ready to get reps? And how long did it take for you to actually get the reps? I don't say that you wanted, just how long did it take you to get reps in general?
I mean, from the jump, like my whole drive was like, I need to get reps. So I wasn't like waiting for it. I was like, all right, what do I need to do to get a good agent? So from the time I started, it maybe took about a year or so.
Okay. Were you like in like, I would say maybe short films, or were you just building up your demo reel, or you just
I was doing classes. I was doing all kinds of stuff before. Like I said, I was doing the extras and all that stuff. Just trying to be like, all right, let me build my resume a little bit, and not so I don't want to walk in there like, hey, I want to be an actor, and I don't have anything on my resume. So I did as much workshops and classes and extras. Like I said, like maybe about 3 extra jobs I did just to kind of, make my resume look a little bit better. Because at the time, all I had was my Berkmar. All I had on my resume was my Berkmar.
I
was like, I don't think they're going to be very impressed by that.
It was like high school, huh? All right, cool.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. But I went and after a while, I went and I did 21st Century. And that's where I initially had my first audition with People's Store. And it's funny because I actually knew people at People's Store before that. Like I told you, my brother Rick had been working there.
Yeah.
At the time when I started, he was an intern. So he knew some people there through, like, his girlfriend's cousin was an agent there. And so I could have went to them and been like, hey, I'm thinking about acting, could I?
Yeah,
I don't like that. I didn't want, because, people will be like, people already are like that because,
like, that's how you got in. You ain't Slick Atkins. That's how you got in.
Yeah, being like, oh, that's, if I had a brother who's an agent, then I could be on too. But yeah, at the time, I didn't want people to think that I just got on because, I knew people there. So I was like, I'm going to do it my own way. So I went and I did 21st Century. And when I got to the thing, they were kind of like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm trying to act. And I was like, how can you just come to us and tell us? And I was like, well, I wanted to kind of do it on my own.
Right.
And they looked at me kind of like,
that's dumb.
Yeah. They're like, you should have just came in and talked to us. And I was like, all right. So they set up an interview or, an audition. And I actually didn't get it the first time around. Like, they were like, you know what, you got some potential, come back in 6 months, like go do some classes.
Yeah.
Come back. And I was like, okay. So I went and I did some sketch comedy classes and all kinds of stuff. And they actually, the show that I did, some of the agents came and saw the show and they were like, oh yeah, okay, we want you to come back in and audition. And I came back and I don't think it was quite 6 months altogether, maybe about 3 or 4 months after that initial audition. Okay. And they were like, all right, yeah, you can come on back. And I did. And then they put me on. And that was how I got my first agent.
Nice. I wish I don't say, I guess I had the drive, but I just didn't know, like, I wish I would be like, hey, so you say take classes. Where should I go? I should have just been like more hardcore. Like, where should I go? Because I have no idea where to go. Like, I feel like it clicked when I got out here because obviously my back was against the wall. It was like, hey, man, you say you're going to do this. Now you're living out here. I don't like talking stuff. That's why I really don't throw any of the stuff I'm out here trying to achieve that much. So I wish I would have been like, yeah, this is the class that I'm taking. So I really started Googling once I moved out here. I'm like, yo, where should I take? What's the class? And I feel like I've been blessed to hop in quite a few classes, but like the main one, Marcia Tillman's, I am Marcia Tillman's acting studio, helping my audition techniques and things like that. Did you ever feel like you were going to be typecasted or branded a certain way that you didn't want to portray? And if so, how'd you overcome it?
Yeah, I think for every actor, that's a fear. I actually recently wrote a little, I guess you'd say a little like essay about this. And especially being a Black actor, I don't want to be, or my concern was that I'd be, just be playing thugs or stuff like that, and I was like, I don't want to play roles that are going to be and reinforcing negative images or ideas about my people,
Absolutely.
So, but luckily I feel like, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, the industry is changing. And I feel like there's a push for diversity, and I feel like that has made it possible for me to play more different roles, Like it's like the stories that are being told are, with more real people and more people of color in all kinds of different positions in life, So I feel like this is like a great era to be an actor, especially a person of color, because the opportunities are far better than they were, even just maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And so initially, yes, I was concerned about being typecast, but I was, when the auditions started coming in, it was very different kind of stuff. But also I feel like I set myself up in a good place because I was comfortable with comedy and drama,
Nice. Yeah.
So I think that widened the types of roles that I was reading for. If I feel like if I would have just been like, oh, I'm only good at doing dramatic stuff, or only good at doing comedic stuff, then then you kind of narrow what you can get, I felt like, and I wasn't always like super comfortable with the dramatic stuff. The comedy came pretty easy to me, but
you're a fun guy. Yeah. Did you have any sense of like, man, like, I don't know, this is not going how I thought it was going to go. Like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, how did you like push through that? Because I feel like somebody came to our class and was like, it's like a roller coaster ride. And like, you're gonna have your ups and your downs. So sometimes I go through and I was like, man, I know I want to do this, but am I going about this the right way? Am I doing something dumb? Like, what am I doing that's not helping me get to this next level? How'd you push through it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I bet you want to know what his answer is going to be, right? Don't worry. Just stick around for part 2. Simple as that.